Stephen C. Productions.
I draw sometimes on the boat, especially during deployment. I used to draw a lot because when you're in deployment, you have nothing but free time. So some people just looked at my art book and always asked me like, "Hey, what are you doing here, man? You're too talented for the Navy." It makes me feel good about myself. So, and because of that, people told me, "Hey, why don't you start your own page, like your own Instagram or Twitter?" And I was like, you know what, might as well just post my art online. So that's where I started making my own Instagram.
You're listening to Talking from Experience, Episode 6. If you're an OG, welcome back. And if you didn't know, you're about to learn. My name is Steven and I am your host. Today, my guest is Kevin Rivera. He is a very talented and aspiring artist who happens to be in the Navy. His job in the Navy is essentially slingshotting airplanes into the sky, which, I mean, if that doesn't sound like a cool job, I don't know what does. If you're able to, while listening to this episode, check out his art on Instagram. His handle is @Cavillion_art. The link is in the description. I had an awesome time talking to my friend. Check it out.
Dude, we all got to start somewhere, man. I remember when I was drawing, I had to start with copy paper. Now, like, I got professional sketchbooks, professional color pencils, all that good jazz.
That's cool, man. Do you get like some sort of discount or something from tagging him on Instagram or just the recognition?
Not necessarily, to be honest with you. I usually tag the companies I use for, but they usually don't do such things unless you're asking you to be a promoter. And to be a promoter, you have to be someone big in the art field. You should have like your own YouTube channel or Instagram with like so many followers to sponsor them, you know?
Right. Man, but I see you got skills, man. I don't doubt it that you could probably gain a following.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like I told you, like I draw sometimes on the boat, especially during deployment. I used to draw a lot because when you're in deployment, you have nothing but free time. So some people just looked at my art book and always asked me like, "Hey, what are you doing here, man? You're too talented for the Navy." It makes me feel good about myself. So, and because of that, people told me, "Hey, why don't you start your own page, like your own Instagram or Twitter?" And I was like, you know what, might as well just post my art online. So that's where I started making my own Instagram account just for my art.
How long have you been posting the art?
Oh, I barely started like the beginning of this year, so I do have like 3 sketchbooks I currently have working on. My goal is to try to finish at least one of them to have like complete back-to-back drawings, so from front page to back. But for the Instagram page, I've already started this year, and so far I have a lot of people in the boat supporting me. I'm kind of gaining new followers every now and then. It's still relatively small, but hopefully one day it'll get big.
Yeah, man. Hopefully I could send a couple of followers your way from this. What's that latest one you posted?
Dang it, which one was that? I think it was a drawing for Air Boss. Air Boss is basically the commander of the entire flight operations on the flight deck. Basically, he is in charge of what the flight ops is. And he saw that I could draw, and I even requested him because I'm currently working on my own art story, comic book story for the Navy. I was just inspired by it, and I asked if I could draw him, and he was like, "Yeah." And he even bought the drawing for me, so he currently has that exact drawing. I just had a picture of it. So it's basically him with his duel. It's just like your spirit physically manifests. I watched a little too much anime, but he loved it a lot. He has it posted in his office, and because of that drawing, I got to drive the boat during one time in deployment. It was pretty fun.
Wow, man, that's so cool. I love that type of stuff, man. You know, people see your skill, and I mean, opportunities arise out of all that stuff. That's so cool.
Yeah, dude, it was just such an honor because I'm known as that guy that can draw on the boat, man. They're like, "Oh, Rivera, he can draw. Yeah, man, get him to paint the wings." I don't know if you ever saw that post on Instagram or Facebook, but yeah, because my chain of command knew I could draw and asked me to paint the wings on the island. Basically, it just represents the aviation rate. A rate is basically your job in the Navy. So they asked me to paint that, and it was such an honor. And currently, they're still up there in the island.
Wow, man, that's so cool. So you do ABE, correct?
Yes, that is correct. It stands for Aviation Boatswain Launch and Recovery Equipment.
And that's cool. And you basically, I mean, the way I want to phrase it is, you shoot airplanes off into the ocean, correct?
Basically, yeah, we launch and recover aircraft. We have these catapults that we align with the jets. We have enough pressure, steam power pressure that launches them off the flight deck because no jet that can just like fly off without any sort of assistance. So we do have like 4 catapults and we launch them and recover them. So I'm part of the work center that launches aircraft.
How loud is that?
You have to wear ear protection, man. You can't go do flight offs without ear protection. You do have those earmuffs that you can put. They're like earbuds, but I usually don't use them. I don't know too many people that do, but it does get loud on the flight deck, man. We have to have earmuffs. You have all that PPE, personal protective equipment on, like the green float coat, cranial glasses. It gets really hot, it gets really loud, but I'll be honest with you, it's like one of the best jobs I ever had, man. I love it.
I mean, I can imagine that that it's very satisfying to watch the planes take off.
Yes, I remember the first time I hopped on the flight deck during flight ups. It was night. I couldn't see a goddamn thing, man. It was my first time being up there. I had to have someone escort me because, like, it's an experience thing. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it. Now I can launch aircraft in my sleep. I have some certain quals that allow me to do certain things now. But honestly, it is quite the experience, man. I remember this deployment I did was very special because we call it the COVID cruise, which has some special circumstances to it.
So you don't do any of the recovery at all?
No, so there's three work centers in my division, which I work in V2. There's the waist, the bow, and the gear. The gear recovers the jets, and the waist and the bow they launch the aircraft. So I work on catapult 3 and catapult 4. That's the waist because it's like in the waist area of the boat, and the bow it's all the way forward on the bow. That's cat 1 and 2.
What does recovery look like? Is it kind of the opposite? Like, is there a like an opposite catapult or?
No, so the way it is, we have 5 cross deck pendants. The way it works is there's a tail hook on the back of the jet that catches like a something like a rope. It's like a very thin or a thick wire rope, and it catches as it lands. It takes a professional pilot to do it. Like not everyone can do that, man. So those pilots are very skillful. It is quite the experience seeing them land. I've seen them land before. It's very cool, unique, man. One of my jobs as an ABE for my work center is we have to wrap the waist. Basically means we have to put like some sort of buttons on the track so the bird doesn't get caught or stuck in it. And it's kind of a rush, man. It's a thrill. You got to wrap it fast before they land because you only have like a couple of minutes before you do it.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. I think the closest thing I've ever seen to that is you seen I think it's Resident Evil 4. They're trying to land the little plane on the top of the building.
Yes. I don't know which Resident Evil it is, but we do have helos on the flight deck as well. We have like 9 helo spots, basically like parking spots for the helos. And honestly, man, the movies don't do it justice. Whenever they're getting tension and ready to take off, you feel that power. Same thing with a jet. When it starts to thrust, man, you feel the energy, the power. If we didn't have those JBDs, which is short for jet blast deflectors, we'd all be flying off that flight deck, man. Those jets are extremely powerful.
How long have you been on the ship?
So far I've been 2 years. I call it year 3 so far because next year will be 3 years. But currently I'm over 2 years in the Navy, and it seems surreal, man. It's like it only feels like yesterday I went to boot camp and did all that. It's quite like I said, it's quite the experience, man. There's been ups and downs for sure, but for the most part, I don't regret my decision. There are days where like, man, it sucks. I won't lie to you, but there's times where it does feel rewarding. Like I can't think of anywhere else I can do what I'm doing right now.
Those moments make it all worth it, huh?
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, there's nowhere else I could think of where I could do flight offs. Like, there are times where it does suck, but like, it is a rewarding job, regardless how hard I work.
Are you trying to work your way towards being in the sky, or are you good right there where you are on the on the ship?
You know, it would be cool being a pilot, but honestly, I'm fine where I'm at. The only question is if I'm going to do a full 20, which is basically doing 20 years in the military so you can retire with such honors.
What's going to help you make that decision?
It's not easy, Steven, to be honest with you, because there's a lot of factors that in 20 to retire seems like a good deal usually, but there's a lot that the military in general takes out of you, man. You lose a lot of personal time. It is stressful at times, especially as you rank up higher, you're in charge of more people. And to be honest with you, man, I have to deal with some little kids, some immature people, some people I think they have like the big bravado. It just becomes stressful over time, man. And there's a lot of people that I know that are so good at their job, that are hardworking, they're great leaders, but after a contract or two, they're just done with the military. They just want to live their own lives, which I can't blame them. There's just factors to think into that. So what will influence my decision is if I get the orders I want to reenlist. I would like to be a teacher back in my old A school to teach the next generation of ABEs.
Wow, man, that's cool. And then from there, you're going to go on to become the world's greatest detective?
Oh man, Some people still call me that. I'm very grateful they remember that, Steven. But honestly, I think that part of my life is past, man. I sometimes call myself the former world's greatest detective. Some people are very surprised how it's. Some people are surprised how insightful I am on the boat because of that. But like, yeah, I think that's just in the past now. I don't even think I'll be a cop anymore. I think that part of my life is just past me now. I'd rather do something with my art because the Navy, believe it or not, is the first place I ever felt I was very talented drawing. Like people love my drawings on that boat. It makes me feel special about myself.
I mean, being on the boat, I can imagine you get inspired, huh?
That is true. Like I told you, I'm working on this story called Kevillian, which is like my something like my hashtag on Instagram. It's like a story about a sailor, which is Kevin going through the boat, experiencing, and you have like this duel, which is your spirit physically manifests, and there are people trying to kill me because of that, and it's just a whole conspiracy in the Navy. It's just like a little fun story. I have like a friend who's a writer who's helping me write it, and one thing I like is that some people see me draw and they ask me to draw for them, and I've gotten some pretty good commissions out of the boat for that.
Whenever you're ready to put that thing out, I'll help you do the audiobook.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Definitely hit you up on that.
Yeah, man. Shoot, we'll get the whole thing going. We'll turn it on. We'll turn it into an anime.
See you in Crunchyroll one day.
Yeah, man. Shoot. Hey, anything's possible in this world, dude.
That is true, man. There's some things I never thought I'd be capable of doing, but somehow I managed to do it. I've always been known to break my limits. Well, every Rivera has, to be honest.
Yeah, man. That's a really good mentality, dude. I feel the same way. Even even just anybody I encounter, man. Like I love seeing people just doing what they love, man, and thriving. That's something that doing the podcast has helped me to appreciate it. Everybody that I've talked to is just like I get so inspired by every single one of my guests, man, and it inspires me to keep moving forward, and that's something that I hope to do for other people who tune in on the platform and elevate everybody who listens.
I hear you, man. That's good, man. That's a good mentality. Like that's the one thing I love about this podcast. It is so fun talking with someone about my rate or just what I do in the boat. It's very inspiring, man. I was like, wow, I'm surprised they took such insight in what I do. It's like the first time I ever had that happen to me.
Man, so is that all you do in your downtime? You just draw?
Uh, for the most part, yeah. Like I gotta be honest. Currently, where I'm stationed, we're stationed in Washington, so there is quite a lot of free time. So I do draw, I do play games, like the basic college stuff. I do go back to the gym. I'm trying to get back my gains I had back in college, trying to get that Super Saiyan strength. But honestly, yeah, it's just a grind right now. Just pretty chill right now. Not much to do.
Man, yeah, that's cool though that you do got time to take your mind off of the stress of dealing with the planes.
Yeah, like currently we are stationed in Washington. We're on dry dock, which basically means we're refurbishing the boat. We're basically trying to get it ready for next deployment. So it is like construction work right now, basically. So when I was an island team at one point, I was basically refurbishing that command center you see on the flight deck. So basically just removing the old paint, rust, all that, and just painting over it, making sure it looks nice for next time we go out to sea.
Yeah, man, you gotta make sure the enemy knows who's shooting at him.
That's right, man. We're the best at what we do, man. Not even the Chinese operate at night.
Wow, really?
Yeah, we mastered the operation on flight deck. So we all flight operations we mastered it a long time. We wrote the book on it basically, and we do flight ops at night where you can't see nothing out at sea. Trust me, it's pure blackness. Like it's quite the experience, man. I remember looking up at the night sky, seeing all the stars. It was so beautiful. But like I said, we're the best at it, man.
So is it all just like radar?
In a sense, yeah. Like, so usually at night we do stop the boat, or navigation usually handles it. I don't know how they do it, but they can somehow navigate the boat. I'm guessing they have radar or somewhat, but usually what I'm worried about is just flight operations and putting out fires on the boat in case I am required to do that.
Does that happen often?
Uh, Not really, to be honest with you. A fire is usually hard to come by. It does happen sometimes. I remember there was a boat in San Diego that was dry dock that got on fire and it destroyed the entire boat. They weren't able to put it out. I don't know if you saw the news about it, but ever since that incident, the Navy's just been big on fighting fires. So we do drills constantly, combating fires just in case, because we can't afford to lose the aircraft carrier, man. It's too much money invested in it. There's too many personnel to just move away if God forbid something happens to the boat.
Yeah, shoot, having to build a whole brand new one.
I imagine so, man. That ship is not cheap, especially the deck reactor, the entire jets, the command center. There's a lot of money that goes on the boat, and between me and you, the boat does cut corners on a lot of payments, trying to save up money as much as it can.
Right. Just in case we need more aircraft.
hmm Yeah, they currently build a new aircraft carrier that uses electromagnetic catapults, which is the first of its kind. It's the Gerald Ford, a very unique aircraft, but it's still not active duty yet.
They had to have run a bunch of tests on that, huh?
Yeah, they because it's the first aircraft carrier to use electromagnetic pulse. Basically, we're trying to design a new system, a more reliable, faster system. We're always trying to up it. But the difference between an aircraft carrier is there's too much money. It's not like upgrading a phone; it only costs like $1,000 or something. Aircraft carriers are too expensive. So a lot of equipment that I use is like from the '60s or '70s. It's outdated, sure, but it's just too much money to replace. We use steam catapults. That's how we launch our aircraft.
Yeah, it's basically a big old rubber band.
Uh, Yeah, you can think of it like that way. A steam powered rubber band, basically, with like 520 psi, plus or minus 20.
Yeah, that'll give you a good distance.
Oh yeah, trust me, man. Like whenever you see that jet fly off during flight operations, it's a sight to see.
So how'd you end up doing the Navy?
Uh, so I had a degree in Bachelor of Science and Criminology. I tried applying to a lot of police departments, but sadly I got rejected. It just put a strain on me and put a lot of stress. I was like, why not join the military, man? I can get some good background for in case I want to do anything police work related. It seemed like a good way to help get some bills paid and try to relieve some of my college debt. And honestly, it does look like it was the right step in the direction, even though it has its times where it's tough.
I think you probably ended up in one of the best places you could have. You seem to enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, I do. I'll be lying to you if I do. There are times where it does suck, where I like regret my decisions sometimes. But at the end of a new day, a brand new day, a new adventure is what we always say over here. So a lot of times it is perspective, like how you look at things. Like, sure, you can have your good and bad days, but you got to keep moving forward. Is what I always say when I have a bad day. Just you got to keep going.
Yeah, I mean it takes the bad to really appreciate the good moments.
Yeah, that is true. I had an old friend that once told me the worst has to happen in order for the better to come. I don't know what she's up to, but there are times where I kind of remember that quote. I always remember what Leon once said, you got to keep going, man, whenever you have a bad moment. Like, because it's not guaranteed if it's going to last forever, man. And sometimes I do have good moments in the Navy.
What do some of those tough moments look like?
Oh, oof. So there are quite a few days. I remember there was one time where I was up from 7 in the morning. I did not go to bed till 3 in the morning the next day doing maintenances, flight offs. I was falling asleep in the water breaks. The water breaks is like this thing that catches the steam piston to prevent it from going through the whole of the ship. So you gotta do maintenance. You gotta crawl in there. It's hot. It's tight. You gotta crawl under like Snake from Metal Gear Solid, and I believe it or not, I was falling asleep in there, man. That's how tired I was. There's times where I'm cleaning, when I was TAD to S2, which is supply to, which is basically helping the culinary specialist cooks, like he has helped serve food. I hated it so much, man. I was cleaning dishes, like 300 dishes, man. It was the worst. Another instance I regret is just like when I'm just getting pain all over me, like working like 12 plus hours. And I was like, oh, this sucks. But it is what it is. It's that's one of our quotes in the boat. It is what it is.
Yeah, there's a song I like. He says, "It is what it is till it ain't."
Yeah, basically, man. I know a lot of people that just, I know a lot of people that hate the Navy, the military in general. They're just ready to get out. And some of them even try to do other means to remove themselves from the military.
Oh wow. I guess some people just aren't cut out, or I mean, it's just not everybody's. It's not up to everybody's expectations. I think the movies and Hollywood sets to they set a certain level of expectation as to what the military is. But just like anything, you don't really know until you experience it for yourself.
Yeah, they romanticize the military life a lot in the movies. A lot of stuff I've seen, like that's over exaggerated as hell. The one thing I will say, if you're planning to join the military, you just know humility. Know that you will get yelled at, you will get chewed out. It might not be your fault, but just try to bite your tongue. Try to swallow your pride because a lot of times that's one thing people get in trouble for is they have this ego, their own pride getting in the way. And I've been yelled at, I've been chewed out before. It sucks. I don't like it, but at the end of the day, it's just not worth stressing over.
Right. Yeah. I mean, They have to be that strict, right? Because it's, I mean, shoot, we're not in a hot war right now, but if we ever were, you got to be firing on all four cylinders.
That is true. We're with things happening right now. It is possible my ship might be deployed somewhere. Who knows? In South China Sea again, just ready to support Taiwan or any other country that needs us. Our currently enemy forces are Russia and China, and honestly, things look like they'll get worse before they get better. I will say one problem I feel about the military is the military bearing. Some people have been a little too lenient. There's some people that have just been too complacent at times, and they don't want to discipline the other sailor because they're being shitbags.
Right. They think they can kind of avoid the issue.
Yeah, it's true. Like I said, so Stephen, you and I have that certain generation we grew up with, and I'm dealing with the next generation. I see a lot of issues with this next generation. I'm pretty sure every old folk says that about the next generation, relieving them, but I can kind of see where that issue is coming up because this new generation, I feel they're a little too entitled nowadays. Forgive my saying.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, man. It's crazy because I've had to work with people. They're straight out of college and whatnot, and I'm just amazed that like you're brand new to the world. You're just entering the workforce. You're out here, and I don't know. Like I don't even know what to call it. Like it's ego has a lot to do with it, but it's something else, man. I think the generation of parents that came after ours, like they were the type that, I want my kid to have, everything and not have a difficult life. But there's
They spoil them.
yeah, and it sucks because it's not even on purpose.
Yeah. I will say that's one issue I see in the military. Some people are just too entitled or too privileged to have humility. So before I left for boot camp, one of my best friends told me you're going to meet some of the best people you ever met in your life, but you're also going to meet some people you absolutely hate. And to be honest, that's true because on the boat, it's like around almost 4,000 sailors on the Roosevelt right now. And all these people, Stephen, they grew up differently than I did. I grew up in Second Ward, Houston. You were there. You know what it's like.
Yes, sir.
And some people just have different beliefs, some different ideals, different upbringing than we did. So they don't have the same beliefs, the same humility, or same I don't want to say standard, but same structure, like how we were raised in a sense. It's just different worlds, really.
Yeah, I think especially like where we grew up, it was kind of like a in between. I don't think there was too many people who I could say were like poor, but definitely there were some areas in which a lot of our peers were lacking resources. So I think we come probably, especially from uh, geographically and socioeconomically, we come from the mentality of, hey, you want to have nicer things. You're gonna have to work. You're gonna have to basically you're gonna have to take some shit from people, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But it's the only way to succeed.
Yeah, I will say that's the same thing mentality I have. But here in the military, so you can't really get fired from the military, man, regardless how poor you do in your job. So some people take advantage of that. So I work as hard as the next guy, and some people are just so lazy they don't want to do nothing. We call it skating off. Basically, to basic sum it up, that's basically job abandonment, where you just leave the work center and God knows where they're at. But these people still get paid, sadly, the same amount as I do, and they take advantage of the system. It sucks, but it is what it is. We just have people like that. We just have to learn to work with people like that.
Oh man, and there's nothing that can be done about it.
There are some methods, but like I told you before, sometimes I feel we got a little too complacent, especially on that boat. So, per se, we could give them counting we could do whatever we can to discipline them, but sometimes that's not enough because a person's upbringing is just different. Some people are just sadly lazy.
That's scary to hear about our military.
Don't get me wrong, we still have some great sailors. We have some outstanding, hardworking sailors I look up to, like, oh, wow, I want to be like the next first class or
Right.
second class because of this individual. But, like, for every one bad apple, you have a good apple, I guess you could say. So, because I said, there's an old saying in the military, you go with the army you have, not the army you want, which is very much true, man. You can't really choose, beggars can't be choosers in a sense.
I mean, if you know who you're working with, you know where your weaknesses are, and you know where people are gonna have to pick up slack. You have to learn how to work with people especially regardless of whether you just like them or not.
Oh yeah, definitely true, man. One thing the military has very much taught me is how to be a leader. There came a time where I had to be in charge of a group of people. This definitely became put away. I became a third class AB3. It's my designation, so I'm known as AB3 Rivera on the boat. So I did have to be in charge of a group of people, and that was stressful, man. No matter how nicely you ask, no matter how much you try to reach with them, some people you just can't reach, man. Some people appreciate that. I try to ask them nicely, but sometimes a person, if they don't want to do it, man, they just don't want to do it. So you're gonna have to learn to work with people like that. You're gonna learn to work with people with different mentalities, different work ethics, different structure, and how things should be run. So it's sometimes it is compromise. Sometimes you have to lay down the hammer. I don't want it to be too strict, but sometimes it has to be done that way so the person can do it.
Man, I can't imagine you upset, man.
Oh man, sadly, the military has tested my patience. I have to deal with a lot of people, man, and I try to be nice, but I hate being taken advantage of. And I will say I do act differently in the boat than I do outside the boat. It's just one thing you learn to how something you learn to do.
Yeah, I'm learning that now with kids, man. Yeah, I would never considered myself to be a strict disciplinarian, but man, I know my kid knows better.
Man, that's so crazy, dude. Again, I'm so happy for you, man. Like, I'm just glad you have a wife. I'm pretty sure you love to death. Your two boys, I'm sure they give you a hassle, but I know one day they'll be worth it when you see them succeed.
It's something else, dude. The 2-year-old every day, dude, he surprises me. Like he's so smart, dude. Like he picks up on everything. I've always kind of knew that about kids. I mean, shoot, we were kids, and I feel like a lot of people discount their kids. They're like, oh, like they don't know they're little, but I see it the opposite way. It's because they're little. I feel like they're more open to everything, and they pick up on a whole lot of stuff that we miss just because of their just awe and wonder of the world around them.
I hear you, man. That's true, man. Like a child mind is wondrous. They're always trying to learn new things, try to experience different things. I guess the best thing as a parent you can do is just like guide them to the right path, raise them the way you were raised with the same morals and beliefs, and just hope that they can do well whenever it's time for them to do what we're doing now.
That's the least we could do, right, for the future.
Dude, yeah, fight the future, Steven. Always, you know that.
Yes, sir. Hashtag fight the future. We got to make that trend.
Yeah, man, that's so crazy. I can't believe we remember that after all those years. Honestly, man, believe it or not, I smile all the time on the boat. To this day, I'm always smiling. One of my first classes, AO1, which is short for Aviation Ordnance, first class. He calls me Smiley. I was like, oh my God, I've been called that since high school. It made my day.
Yeah, it's your trademark, man.
I guess so. Yeah, people say I'm always smiling. They get concerned when I don't smile. Well, that there are days when I'm just so tired that I just don't want to do anything, or I'm so livid that like, hey, the smile's knocked out of me, and business is business right now.
You got to put on your poker face.
You could say that, yeah. It's just like I said. One thing is people do act differently on the boat because at the end of the day, you have to know business from personal life, basically. So there's times where you have to be professional on the boat. Like we're here to get the job done, to lollygag or play around.
Work is work, and sometimes you do overtime.
Oh yeah, oh dude, I wish I got paid overtime, man. I'd be making some killer bank if I got paid overtime in the boat. But yeah, man, to add to that, like I said, I am dealing with a lot of guys straight out of high school. They're young, they're hot headed, they have bravado, they think they know the world. I kind of don't blame them because I was the same way when I was 18, 19. It's just crazy, man. It's just because I see myself now as I'm older. I'm still trying to learn new things. I still don't know everything, of course, but I feel like as you get older, as you get more experience, you become more humble. You start to understand that, man, your parents are right. They're just trying to teach you. But I hate to say, I feel like a lot of us, especially guys, have to learn stuff the hard way just so we can get it through our thick heads.
Yeah, that's something I got to remind myself of all the time with kids, and then even just dealing with younger people out in the world and the workforce is. I mean, there was a time when I was exactly like that, man. There's a teacher I always remember, man. I was like, yo, like, how did he not strangle me to death, man? Like, I put that man through hell, and I was like, man, I hope I get to run into him eventually. I was like, sir, I need to buy you a drink. We need to have a long talk. I gotta apologize for some stuff.
I feel on that one, man. Teachers I miss is Miss Zamora, Miss Nunez, Mr. Williams, Mr. Trevino, Mr. Schuster. God, there's a lot of teachers I miss back in high school, man. And honestly, looking back at it, those were the best times of my life. Just being a junior, senior. Those were simpler times, man, back then. Just trying to enjoy life, just hoping for a good future. And honestly, I still won't say I'm at where I wanted to be when I was that young, but hopefully I can get there one day, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. And even for what it's worth, like, I feel like we went to a pretty decent school, man, with teachers who genuinely cared.
Oh, I agree with that, man. Like I said, the school wasn't the best funded, sure, but I feel the teachers, the ones who really care, they really wanted me to succeed. I know my teachers, they really wanted the best for me. They wanted me to go to college, and I don't regret going to school at all, man. I loved going to college. Looking back at it, it was some great memories. I made some great friends, and who knows, man? Maybe I'll go back to get another degree. But as it stands right now, I'll see what I can do for the Navy right now, Steven.
Kevin, thank you so much. I cannot wait to do this in person next time. If you're still listening, thank you so much for hanging in till the end. Like I said in the beginning, Kevin's Instagram is in the episode description. Hit him up, let him know you heard him on the show, and definitely check out his art. Like always, ways to connect with me are also in the description. Please feel free to reach out, let me know what you think of the show. If there's any particular guest you'd like to hear on the show, heck, if you want to be on the show, let's talk about it. Thank you so much for your support, and until next time, fight the future, man. Let's go. Bye bye.